Next, we will discuss the AVRT. This is the atrioventricular reentrant tachycardia. So this is the SVT, the supraventricular tachycardia caused by existence of an extra pathway from atria to ventricles. This extra pathway plus the AV node will form a reentry circuit. The two types of AVRT, one is called orthodromic, the other is antidromic. So this is an example of the accessory pathway, or so-called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. The accessory pathways connect the atria to the ventricle. And this is a rhythm during the sinus rhythm. You can see with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, that is with accessory pathway, you have a short PR interval. Here the PR interval is short, it's less than 120 milliseconds, because the conduction bypass the AV node through the accessory pathway is much faster. And then you have a Y class complex, usually more than 110 milliseconds, and it's due to the obvious delta wave. Here's a delta wave, so short PR interval, delta wave, Y class complex. This is the characteristics of a Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And this is an example of tachycardia as a result of reentry using the accessory pathway. Here is an example of orthodromic atrioventricular reentrant tachycardia. It's a narrow complex tachycardia. It's due to reentry, as mentioned before. The rate is usually 180 to 260 beats per minute. Sometimes can be faster. And it's due to extra electrical pathway to ventricles. For the orthodromic, it's usually the A to V is through the AV node, so it gives us a narrow complex. And then it enters the accessory pathway to loop around. It produces narrow complex SVT. As I mentioned before, because it goes down through the AV node, so it gives us a narrow complex. Its contrast to the antidromic tachycardia. You can see here, this also due to reentry, the rate is similar to the orthodromic. But the mechanism is a bit different because the extra electrical pathway to ventricle is the A to V is through the accessory pathway. So integrally, it's through the accessory pathway, so give rise to our pre-excited or Y complex tachycardia. And then it retrogradely enter the loop to loop around. So integrated through the accessory pathway and retrograded through the AV node. Give rise to Y complex tachycardia. And this is called the antidromic type of atrioventricular reentry tachycardia. So this AV reciprocating or reentry tachycardia using a bypass tract is also named Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. This is a bypass circuit connecting the atria and the ventricles directly. Since both chambers are necessary to complete the circuit, it is a macro reentry. And premature beats during tachycardia will advance the activation in another chamber through the accessory pathway.